Welcome to the Jerry Graves channel. This is the only channel where you're going to get pure game on how to master your flow within and deal with narcissists and just become a better you. And without further ado, we're going to jump straight into the topic, which is how do you talk to a narcissist? There actually is a way to talk to a narcissist and all toxic people, and it's basically you have to put a wall between you and them. You always need to be working to put distance between you and them. And you don't have to do that only through physicality, like your proximity to them, but it's also about how you talk to them, like how you're saying the words and the words that you're actually using. So, of course, you want to get down to the point where you're using non-personal words, no you, I, like words like that. Our anything that sounds like it's you and them. No, even if the situation calls for that, you want to find a different way of saying that. Instead of saying you should, I think that you should clean your area, your work area more. You change it to many people like to work in a clean area when they're at work. And then they go on, well, blah, 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 and then you say, there's an article online about less clutter makes for a better workplace, or something like that, where you're saying things that are so general, you can't be attacking them, right? You're not directly saying anything to them, and it's very, it's not personal at all. So you use those type of words where you start speaking in generalities. Other people think that you should keep things clean, you know? It's amazing how some people would think that this work center would run a lot better if there's less clutter to trip over things. That don't even say your. I'm thinking all like this off the top of my head, but I feel like you get the example of just substituting saying personal pronouns with saying stuff that's general, talking about other people other than yourself. So you're talking about them in an indirect way, and they'll get the point, but you're still putting up a wall between you and them. Same thing with just being formal. Yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. Instead of saying bro or dog, or like, you don't want to use slang that you would use with your friend. This isn't your friend, and just in general, don't do that with people that you don't know. Until you know for sure that you want to be intimate with this person. And intimacy doesn't mean sex. It just means even friendship is intimacy. So they need to pass that just in general. Now, you can abuse somebody by mistreating like a child or something, by acting like they're a lover, like, and they call it, everybody knows this, like emotional incest. Just by talking to someone, there might not even be incest going on, but just by talking to your child like they're your lover, you're already abusing them, right? So that just goes to show you, like they call it modality. The modality that you're talking to someone is very important. You don't just talk to people the way that they talk to you. Toxic people are going to come in and talk to you in a very personal way, like you guys are friends, have known each other for 20 years. They just flown in from Hawaii to visit you, and you guys just had lunch, and then they're continuing a conversation with you from lunch. And this is the first time you guys are talking in real life. You don't know this person, but they give you that feeling, like that scenario I just described. Like you guys have been talking all day, and you've known this person your whole life, and you guys are on good terms, and this person could be in the process of ruining your life, and you know it, but you fall into that mode of still talking to them from that modality, right? And the same thing happens like in the dating world. Like if you were to meet a woman, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna talk from a male perspective, even though obviously this applies to women as well. But if you were to meet a woman, right, and a lot of times what happens is guys fall into the friend zone, and that's because same thing. You're talking to the woman and interacting with her from a frame that suggests that you guys are just friends. You're acting like a friend. You're talking like a friend, right? And people hate that, like but that's what happens, So it would be more effective if you were to treat the girl like you guys are already going out, like you guys are already romantic, not from the first second that you meet them, but pretty quickly switch into that, and she'll likely fall into that. Like at least you won't get into the friend zone. Either she's going to reject you or not, but that's just my thoughts on it. But the point is that again, you always need to be watching that. And if you're a girl and you see somebody treating you like you guys are already a thing or whatever, obviously you want to shut that off if you're not attracted to that person, or you risk falling into the game, and the next thing you know, he's all you could think about. Now you're taking him to meet daddy and mama, But so yeah, everything stay personal. Talk to them like you would be talking to somebody in court. Keep everything legal. Think about legality while you're talking to them, because at some point things can end up in court. So this is like you're killing two birds with one stone. You're keeping things. You're putting up a boundary, and this is like a really good boundary, because it's not like most other things where it's hard to, like, you get caught in the moment, and the next thing you know, it's more or less like you can just do this at your will. Like, it doesn't really take much willpower. You don't really get sucked into it. It's like what you're doing, and you just simply make that choice. Like, I'm not going to talk to this person. And just in general, like I said, keep that up until you actually know people. Everything needs to be formal. And it's crazy how in another language people know this. Like, when you learn Spanish, they teach you the formal way and then the non-formal way, and it's very important. But in our society, there's no, that's really relaxed, and that's not good. Keep things formal. Always keep things formal. Always be talking like you're in court, because at the end of the day, you might end up there. So yeah, put distance between the person, even if you can't get away from them. Always keep that distance. Always keep those boundaries. And that's going to do it for today. Obviously, you got to take this advice with a grain of salt. Sometimes you might have to break some of these rules. This isn't set in stone. Use it according to what works for you. But in general, that's how you do it. Even with your parents, it gets to that point where you still, even though you guys are at odds, they still come and talk to you like this is some personal stuff, and you're like, dude, you're trying to ruin my life. It's not only am I not going to call you by your mom anymore, I'm going to call you by your first name, and I'm going to call you ma'am or sir, and I'm going to keep that boundary up. And narcissists and toxic people hate that. They hate that, and that's one of those things that it can get you to the point where people won't try you as much, just because you're already starting off right at the gate, showing that you have boundaries. that you're not going to let people cross you, you know? So, yeah, use that wisely. That's all I got to say. And that's all I got. Wait. Let me say a story just to add to it. I remember, this is just bonus material. I remember when I was in the Navy, I had this guy who I was working under. He was a first class, and I was an airman, which means he has a lot more rank than me, right? So he was just basically just a bully, just a everyday bully. But so I was trying to fix the situation. Like, I didn't understand why, or that he was evil. Like, it just didn't sink in, you know. Like, so I was trying to fix the situation any way that I could. So I'm over here doing everything I can. I'm trying to, I'm telling him things that's going on in my life as to why I might have acted this way, or like, he's basically picking at me, trying to find any old reason to say something, or try to accuse me of having a bad attitude or something, you know. Now I'm explaining, you know, I haven't seen my family, or, you know, just saying things to explain what's going on, and just right there, you already know I was making a mistake. So beyond that, he comes to me eventually. He's like, you know what? You know, can we do this every once in a while, where we just kind of, you know, if we have something to talk about, we can get it off. Can I do that with you every once in a while? So I was just like, I don't even know if I even answered that. And he just goes into his day. He's like, you know, last night I was trying to go to sleep, and I just couldn't sleep. And I'm just thinking about everything that makes me mad. Like, my wife, I don't love her. And this guy just keeps going on, and I'm like trying to figure out how to get out of the conversation. And it gave me that yucky feeling of somebody who's crossing the boundaries. You know what I mean? Like, somebody who's basically been thinking too much about you, and it just basically, like, you could just tell this person's crazy. But he went on and on about how he couldn't sleep and how angry he was, and now he didn't go to sleep, and now he's talking to me. And I know this guy, he's about to start fucking with me because he didn't sleep last night. I don't know why stuff is funny to me now, but yeah, that's an example of that. Him talking to me like we're friends, and or even like I'm his therapist, and he's one of my worst enemies, you know. It's confusing, and it's just, you get that yucky feeling like whenever somebody does that. It's like this when somebody comes and just starts talking to you like they know you and you don't know them. But that's all I got.